Hello from Kirksville, Missouri. This is Randy Kervin, and this is Rantin' Randy's Rant. Let me open that up a little bit wider. All right. Hello, folks. Where in the hell do you start? Other than Donnie tried to run or ran a political campaign ad rewriting history to show that he was on top of things from the very start. Hello, Daphne. Let's see. And the second stupidest move that's been made was DeSantis of Florida, another Donnie butt kisser, uh, responds with the WWE or essential workers. Let me tell you a story on what straightened me out on wrestling back when I used to watch it in Atlanta, Georgia. My dad pointed out to me if wrestling was a real sport to begin with, and I know a lot of people are missing all of our sports that's not happening, but my dad said, look in any newspaper in the sports section. Do you ever see anything about the wrestlers and who won the matches? Had a very good point. I hope I didn't piss off too many people, uh, but that's the reason years ago I quit watching it because it wasn't a real sport. Uh, and Donnie, of course, wait a minute. Let me correct myself. King Donnie. Um, Donnie's pushing what he thinks is his authority, which the Constitution does not agree with him about that authority. Uh, he will get pushback from 9 states if he's thinking about May 1st to do his total authority and reopen the country. You're going to find out different, Donnie. Last night I had to give up. It was almost 2 a.m. And the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell was life in the time of coronavirus. And so I had to get some sleep with what's going on. I didn't soundly sleep. I was up about 8:30 this morning and even tried to go back to bed and told Grace to hold breakfast for a little while, but I couldn't go back to sleep. Let's see what I got. That's the hardest part of this right now is trying to see through these glasses. Let me start back on page 1. I had to switch pens after I started into writing this all down last night. And some of it's going to be faded. It's going to be harder for me to read it. And okay, let's start where we should. Oh, okay. I'll get it figured out. After 6 days, Wisconsin Supreme Court Democrat Jill Karofsky won that seat 53% to 40%, and Daniel Kelly was Donald's candidate, and he was defeated, even though people had to get out and endanger their lives to vote. This is how determined Democrats are to take this man down. We are not going to put up with him another damn 4 years. And some good news, this came from CNN Politics. This is off of Rachel's show. National Cathedral found 5,000 masks stored away in the crypt for over 10 years. So that's some good news there. The next one they had done, it was NBC Bay Area. Uh, Union locates 39 million N95 masks for healthcare workers and local government services. Employees with the international 39 million N95 masks and will make them available to state and local governments and healthcare systems that are fighting the novel coronavirus outbreak. Turns out they were being scammed, and it is very interesting how we found this out. So that supply never existed, for one thing. Turns out the FBI is now investigating in Australia. And it was accidental. See, they found out that that wasn't an arrangement. The reason the FBI was looking into this, what they were going to do, and this is why we found it out, they were going to turn over the mask to FEMA in the Defense Production Act. The federal government has quietly been seizing supplies across the country, taking orders placed by hospitals and clinics and not publicly reporting where the products are being routed. The only reason it was found to be a scam to stealing that gear. And they've been doing this all over the country. This, my friends, would explain why they are favoring red states like Florida, like South Dakota, like the others that are still kissing Donnie's ass. That's how they're getting their supplies. They are taking it from orders from blue states, and red states don't have a problem getting what they order. Damn. Talk about a bunch of damn crooked people. See, he has made all of our departments in our government in a little over 3 years totally support him. That's not the way government runs. And you Republicans better wake your ass up. This man is declaring that he's king. He claims the Constitution says he has total authority. No, he doesn't. Oh, let's move along. And seize it. And like I said, is it no wonder the red states don't have a problem getting supplies? South Dakota, Sioux Falls is the location of the Smithfield plant. Smithfield Foods employee tested positive for coronavirus. Last week, the plant shut down for 3 days to clean and place barriers between the employees. Now we have found throughout the nation, I might add, 350 cases involve employees at Smithfield's food in Sioux Falls. In Sioux Falls itself, which there's something like 700 and some odd cases there in South Dakota, and Smithfield Foods is 350 of that 700 and odd cases in the state. Their stupid governor, Christy Nome, couldn't see any reason to, shelter in place after learning that. In fact, that stupid governor decided it was all right to try a clinical trial of hydroxychloroquine chloroquine instead because the president wants them to try it. When New York, small hydri, hydrochloroquine halted over risk of fatal heart complications. Are you freaking kidding me? They're going to try that, but they're not going to shelter in place. And all the Republican governors, except for very few, have their heads of Donnie's butt. They can tickle his tonsils. Okay, and here's where I picked up with bottom of the other page. At the bottom, I had this better pen. A month ago in a packed rose garden, March 13th, Donnie announced testing would be at Walmart parking lots because of a partnership with Walmart. And there are two Walmart sites. Walgreens opened 2 sites, and CVS has 4 sites. And this is in the whole country. He also said they were partnering with Target, which has no sites. This is one of his big promises that he was probably running on his advertisement for his campaign, where he's rewriting history. They have come through with none of it, including the site that they said Google would have where you could be screened for coronavirus and find out whether you could get tested and afterwards get the results of that testing. That doesn't exist. Another false promise. I didn't get the man's name that is the head of the company. Remember, he's the one that showed him how to elbow bump when Donnie offered his little itty bitty hand to him. He's let down too. He said when he came to the mic after being introduced by Donnie, he announced that there would be testing for people in rural areas and those who couldn't reach a testing site. That is not happening, according to NPR. They called more than 20 of the LHC sites in 12 states, and none of them are doing home testing 1 month after the Rose Garden address. You remember it was packed like they were sardines in a can. And it was Dr. Bree that held up the sign and was pointing to how good it was going to be when they got this Google thing going. And it hadn't been developed. And testing labs asked 3 things of the federal government. More than a month later, the diagnosing testing labs and a group that represents them in Washington and the American Clinical Laboratory Association still have testing facilities, national standards to prioritize those who get tested and government support for the supply chain. They're still waiting. So none of what he promised on March 13th has been done. Shit, you idiot. This is just a play. He wants to stay in power. He's afraid he's going to go to jail, which he will, because we will put him out of office in 2020. And we now know that even if he has people stand in line, they will do their civic duty and get this man out of the White House. And if he reopens and he claims he's got the authority to do it today, after Andrew Cuomo called him King Trump. And then he tweeted, let's see, basically what he tweeted is the man calls him all the time and has wants this and he wants that. Now he wants to be independent. I don't think so. And I keep telling people, you Republicans better realize this man ain't right up here. He is, if nothing else, he is a spoiled brat. He's acting like a 7-year-old. And at the same thing, at the campaign rewrite history and press conference, Donnie spent his time attacking media for reports that he ignored the virus warning. January 21st, 2020, the U.S. had the first confirmed case in Washington State. And you remember shortly after that, he said there were, yesterday he said there were 0 cases. And said something about they got started on January 31st or 30th or something like that. And they cut him off with, no, you didn't. And reporters are going to have to do more of this. They're going to have to say when they're told enough, what the hell do you mean enough? Answer my question. 5 states, like I was saying, 5 states in the Northeast, and no, actually, there's more than that. And 3 on the West Coast are working together as one, kind of like in a mini USA, and to try to plan going forward in the absence of leadership from the Donnie administration. She also talked to Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey. He says they will have to have mass testing to open up the economy. So all those governors are in agreement that if he wants to go for May 1st, they better have the testing before then, because that ain't going to happen. Not with those governors. And that's on the East and the West Coast. Let's see. All right, that's some closing thoughts. And that was, where's page 5? There it is. I found it. And I'll turn that one that way. All right. Coronavirus is in all the nursing homes and the veteran homes. 2 of them in New Jersey have been savaged, according to Murphy. And you have to have testing separate the employees and the patients to get a handle on the situation. And again, I will remind you, the federal government is not even interested in data from nursing homes. They don't want to know about it. And also keep in mind that FEMA is stealing and probably supplying the red states. They might get something in the nursing homes there, but they ain't going to get it if you're in a blue state. And we come to an interesting thing from the New York Times. The Red Dawn dawn emails, 8 exchanges on the faltering response to coronavirus. Points out officials calling schools and college to have colleges and schools closed in late January. Uh, and that's just a part of the story, the Red Dawn emails. They also, New York Times collected 80 pages of these emails, January through March, based in part on the Freedom of Information requests to local government officials. Why don't I call him Trump? Trump was slow to respond and worrying about the economy and the stock market instead of heeding warnings and batting away at senior officials for even bringing it up. Mitigation in states on the West Coast, like California, have a better and less spread because they called for a stay at home order early into this. That's the reason they're ahead of New York in it, because it was called sooner and they didn't wait more than, I think it's now, I hadn't seen the latest figures, but I'm pretty sure that it is now over 24,000, headed to 25,000. Excuse me. More than 23,000. I'll just read the way I wrote it down last night from closing argument from Cuomo, now dead, and Donnie insists everything we did was right. Remember the reality. Donnie didn't want to own responsibility for shutting down the country. He's lying when he says we did everything right. They did everything wrong because the lazy son of a bitch didn't want to do anything. Okay, I've already covered that when I first started out today. Let's look through some of my closing thoughts and see if there's anything worthy of doing. Oh, I love this. We got 13 people out there. Hello, Bernadette. Welcome to the Blue Room. Randy's Rant. This administration has proven through its actions and slow response, and now he claims total authority to reopen the economy according to the Constitution. This is a lie, and it goes against the Constitution. He's not a monarch, and despite what he thinks, or the GOP, is not going to lead the U.S. after November 2020. We, the American people, have seen no leadership for so long. It's time we take back this country from this lazy ass tyrant. His re-election campaign press conference is a farce and propaganda session, and argues with any reporter that criticizes his slow response. In our larger cities, and I was questioning where I would read this, but it may become necessary, as well as getting out and having to vote, because if he has his way, there won't be any mail-in voting. In the larger cities, we, the people, may have to, despite the danger, using masks and social distancing, deliver a message to this despot that he is not going to keep doing this and costing American lives. All right. And I already informed you about the other. I tried calling 202-224-5787. 3121. No one answers the phone, so there's nobody there. Oh, what a disgusting, but how's it any more disgusting than what we see every fucking day from this administration, or as I prefer to call it, regime, because that's what it is. He wants to be dictator or King Donnie, and he's determined he's going to do it his way. Hello, Brian. I'll just say hello before I let you all go. Hello, Maria. Hello, John S. I know you're in West Virginia. Beat Donnie. uh, you don't know the pleasure that gives me, Maria. uh, let's see. As you know, on this, I can go back and look at this. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Bernadette. Send our taxes to the post office. And we all know he's trying to get rid of that. Remember, he had a war with Jeff Bezos of Amazon and the New York Post. Uh, Bezos had made up. He had a Republican gathering before we were under the trouble with the coronavirus. So, see, he's kissing his butt too. And Donnie, strangely enough, mail-in ballots can't be handled, and he sure don't want the post office to be surviving. When they need money, they're not going to get it from the economic relief because Mnuchin's already said they'll have to borrow the money. Strange timing too. He don't like mail-in ballots, and now he wants to do away with the post office. Shit! I'm tired of living under all these fascists, and that's exactly what it is. We might as well be Nazi Germany. We've got the Hitler that's going to take over the country and have new allies, though. North Korea, China, and Russia. Wow. And half the time, he can't even get along with China. If it wasn't for the way he wants to call it the China virus, I really don't see a problem with that because that's where it originated. I'm kind of like Bill Maher on this. SARS, that was out of Southeast Asia. SARS. So, that to me wouldn't be a big problem, except I don't want to do anything Donnie wants. And that's my biggest complaint right there. I will not agree with him on anything. He's the GOP's problem, and they're all going to be going home in 2020 because this Blue Dot family and the efforts that we make are going to make a big difference in the outcome of this. We're getting out here, we're putting the word out, and you people help me each and every day. It's just not monetary. It's a lot of the memes that I relate least today. That comes from my friends through PMs, and I release it. So that's a lot of support. And right now, I know what us Americans are doing. We're on the telephone finding out the balance at the bank, and it ain't shown up yet. And I don't think it's likely with the IRS since I have a tax service that takes care of it. I don't even know that they know the banking information. I don't really care. What I'm waiting on is for Friday to roll around and through Social Security and Social Security disability insurance, if it doesn't show up, I'm going to start calling somebody because I know a lot of you are just like I am. We're starting to believe it ain't going to happen. We ain't going to believe it till it does happen. I think this is just pull his base along for a little longer uh, so that by the time they even seriously consider it, Donnie's put all the money in his properties and Jared's properties. That's the reason he doesn't want oversight. I will let you go though. Got to beat this thing one more time. I'm thinking about getting a rope and putting it up there and hang him out here and just let him. All right, I'll let you go, and I look forward to doing my Facebook tomorrow. Um, I will be putting out my meme about the PO box. There's nothing wrong with sending it there. Uh, for now, if you don't choose, you can contact me by PM, and I have no problem with friends and Blue Dots giving them my street address. Because anything that turns up in that P.O. box, if I'm no longer the owner, it's going to turn up at my street address. Uh, Either that or they will call me and I can go pick it up at the post office. I'm thinking the first thing I was talking about. I think it will just show up here. It might take a day longer. All right. Also, I will be putting my uh, PayPal me / Randall Curvin with capital R, capital C, and it's all run together. That that is the proper way to use PayPal to help me out. And if I keep you entertained, if I'm worth a few dollars for doing this as a Blue Dot member, you know I will continue to do this regardless. Uh, It's my patriotic duty. I love this Blue Dot family, and I love being in America, and we are going to take our country back. Uh, I try to stay positive because positively, we're going to take this country back. His ratings, although nobody seems to be running polls right now, they couldn't be going up. Not with what he's doing at his rallies in the press room at the White House. There's no way that his ratings can be going up, even with Fox and OAN and Newsmax trying to push his narrative. Uh, I think people are starting to wake up and see through it all. All right, I'll leave you on that positive note. I want you to think this way: peace, resist, and persist, and insist. Every now and then, keep trying to call that number at Congress because we need to tell them we're not going to do anything except send as many Republicans home because it is not the Republican Party anymore. It's the Trumpenstein Party. All right. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow on my Facebook show around the usual time, 6 p.m. Have a good evening and hang in there, baby. We'll make it through this. Bye bye. Share this shit.